one of the things I want you to think about, okay? I read a little book a while ago called A Complaint-Free World, written by a minister. The minister is down in North Carolina. And after he preached a sermon, he would give something to the parishioners at the door as they were leaving to remind them of his message. And so this would kind of carry over during the week. Well, the church got popular, and he wanted to put an addition on it. And he also wanted to build a youth center. And the board of people at the church were mostly farmers, and they were not anxious to spend money. So he decided, since they were all complaining about the cost, he would preach a sermon on complaining. So at the end of the sermon, he gave everybody at the church a purple handband. And he said to them, listen, this week, every time you find yourself complaining, I want you to take this off and put it on the other wrist. Now, what was he doing? Well, you see, many of us are unconsciously incompetent. In other words, we don't know what we're no good at. Now, after 45 years, my wife reminds me, but he wanted to have them think about it. So every time they moved it, he was moving them to become consciously incompetent. Because people that complain don't know they do it. They're just being rational. Now, what happens after a while? You move it less frequently. Why? Because you are becoming consciously competent. He says if you can go 21 days without moving it, you no longer think about it. You are now unconsciously competent. Well, think about some of the stuff that goes on in your school. Some of the complaining that happens, some of the things that people do. It might be worth you thinking about a bracelet or moving things back and forth in your pocket. Listen, we're going to try to pick up some time. I don't know how much I've used. At my age, you don't worry about time. You don't have that much, so you make the best use of it, okay? But I would just ask you to do this for me, to realize that the way you see things determines what you do, and what you do determines what you get. So at the end of this upcoming school year, you will pretty much get what you deserve, because what you did gave it to you, and what you did was based upon the way you see it. And so if you're willing, thank you. If you're willing to focus on seeing things differently, Chris's whole notion of hope is about success. It's finding ways to work with kids so they're successful. The only people that will persist in the face of failure are golfers. Everybody else gives up. And so we don't want kids to give up. The minute they do, we have robbed them of opportunity in their futures. And we wouldn't want that. And the other thing I want you to remember for me is that one day, and for me this is pressing closer, I'm 70. I have a 6-year-old granddaughter. I was thinking if she got married in 20 years, I'd be 90. I'd have to sit near a washroom at the wedding. They'd have to puree my steak. And sometime during the night I'd say, where am I? And so life is flying by. You'll never have this year again. You'll never have this day again. You'll never have the first day of school again. What are you going to do next Tuesday? So when those kids get home and mom says, do you like your teacher? What are they going to say? They're going to say what you make them say because of the way you behave. And so what you need to remember is that you had a date of birth. You're going to have a life and a date of death. And I don't want to be morbid, but there is employee assistance if you didn't know that. And between those two dates, there's a line on your tombstone, and that line is the dash, and the dash is your life. And I want you to fill that dash with so many positive memories that when you get to be old, you look back and say, boy, I believed and I did it. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.